Hello everyone, and welcome to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. My name is ATR, and today we're gonna have ourselves a 1v1
We are now equipped to decode German radio transmissions.
on Semoskiy Winter.
To reveal enemy positions.
Our heroes today are going to be Jove, playing as the US forces in the blue. And his opponent in the pink or purple trunks is going to be none other than Luvnest, the loveliest of nests, as the austere or Wehrmacht faction. So, Semoskiy Winter. Ah, good old Semoskiy Winter. I remember you. I'm casting non-stop games in you and getting tired of you very quickly in 1 week. But, well, it's been changed a little bit. This is in the new patch, and as you probably saw, the Austere were able to run through that deep snow very, very easily because CoH2 has been removed from auto match. You can still play with it in custom games if you so desire, but if you noticed, they are no longer trudging through the snow very slowly. They are able to just simply run straight through and get all up in there. And they actually get all up in there in that house and are now going to be denying those conscripts. They actually kill off a conscripts as they were finished the building of the sandbag, but the sandbag is in place, heavy cover activated, and the engagement will now be prolonged. So while the engagement takes place, let's see what's been going on. We see Job going for no tech, as you would expect. Conscripts, and more conscripts. And for Luvnest, he as well went no tech, but instead got austere, or not austere, Osttruppen, sorry. As he selected, of course, his Osttruppen Doctrine. So he has now 2 Osttruppen squads on the field, a Pile squad as well, and then is now following it up with an MG, because of course, remember, of the other patch, you can get the MG from your HQ, so it is not necessary to tech. So I'm assuming, considering the Doctrine and his troop selection, we're probably not going to see Tier 1 this game. So Osttruppen squad up here in the north, or not really the north, the center of the map, but a little bit to the north of it, trying to pop into this house. The conscripts manages to win the house itself. They get in there before them, forcing them to pop out. They go themselves into the church, and now the conscripts are out by the wall taking some shots and now actually taking some hits. Inside the house over here, we still have the prolonged engagement. The conscripts have lost another man. They are down to 4 themselves. And the Osttruppen have been brought down to 3. However, they're still holed up in there, still holding strong. Down to 2 men, forced to retreat. We'll probably take another loss there. No, the conscripts over here are not moving. But yeah, once again, back to the CoH2, you can see it's just now the way that the map looks. They just leave a little bit of footprints there, nothing too severe. Even looks a little bit pixelated there. And yeah. Also, even though in Semoskiy Winter wasn't actually a case, but blizzards, you know, they're gone. So no more CoH2. MG42 on the field for Luvnest, catching that conscript squad, forcing it to retreat. We have 4 conscripts on the field for Jove now. Doctrine selection for both of them. We have the Partisan tactics for Jove, while Luvnest, of course, went for the Osttruppen Doctrine. The Partisans did also get changed. I don't remember exactly all the changes they made to them. Something about unifying them in such a way. But for example, I know that the tank hunters are going to be equipped with Shreks. Yeah, and you can see it actually says now Partisans come equipped with German anti-vehicle weapons. They can no longer spawn with PTRSs and such. So, you know, making it a little more easier, I suppose. So we now see the Partisans on the field for Mr. Job. These guys come equipped with PPSHs, getting themselves right on top of that MG. They are able to do a little bit of damage, but not too much. They're probably going to get themselves killed. Can they make it out of there? Well, the Osttruppen almost killed them off, but they're Osttruppen. They don't exactly know how to shoot, so they make it out of there alive, but still a dangerous situation for Partisans. And, yeah. And there we go. So we see that Jove manages to push back a little bit. They'll still have those Osttruppen hold up in the house. One of the benefits or keys there for the Osttruppen. Since they are very numerous, they're actually able to withstand inside houses for prolonged periods of time, as opposed to the 4 men of a Grand Squad. Sorry. Back over at the base, we see now Job taking up to Tier 2. I can only assume a half-track is going to come out of this, considering the number of Osttruppen he has. Now, do remember, though, that the half-track was changed so that if you upgrade with the flamethrower, you aren't able to reinforce anymore. So if he wants to use it for that, he's going to have to keep it with the MG, which I don't like, but we'll see how well it performs or not. And yeah, we can now see that Mr. Luvnest is going for that half-track. So center map, bit of an engagement as Osttruppen, again, just delaying. They managed to set themselves up in the heavy cover of that sandbag and capture the strategic point outside of Jove's base as they, you know, they pop out. The conscripts pop out on the other side. Sorry. Partisans running up, trying to get themselves up closer to those Osttruppen. Osttruppen taking quite a beating there, down to 2 men. May potentially die. Conscripts are right there to shoot at them. We have another partisan squad popping right outside of that house, going to be catching them on the retreat. SMG's not online. There they go, executing the Osttruppen, and down goes an entire squad for Luvnest. So a nice little pickup there for Job. Half-track on the field. The half-track is getting upgraded with that flamethrower. Not exactly sure if Job knows that the flamethrower do that now. Does it actually say it there? Yeah, can no longer transport and reinforce soldiers once you get the flame projectors. So that's the thing. Tank hunters getting popped inside this house. Shrek's flying, or Shrek, because there's only one, at the half-track. Half-track now down to a very small sliver of health. Could potentially go down. We do still have Osttruppen in the way. The tank hunters are now popping themselves out of the house. And the half-track barely manages to make it out of there. Osttruppen still try to hold the line with the MG42 behind them. We have the conscripts back over here down to 2 men themselves. Could potentially die. They hit retreat, but they run in the worst angle possible for them as they have to run the gauntlet. But again, it's only Osttruppen. They're going to be fine. They lose 1 more man, but they make it out of there easily. Spy network getting popped for Job, as that allows him to, of course, see where everything is. Means that he actually knows where the half-track is, and he is essentially trying to go on the hunt. He went in this direction expecting it to retreat back towards the base, but it did not actually work. Pio squad retreating from the north as a conscript squad engaged it. We do have an S minefield laid down across this area in the fuel point. And the half-track at about 25% strength. Pios are going to try and get on the way. Tank hunters still online, still trying to put up a fight. And we see the partisans coming across the open terrain. The half-track turning its flamethrowers to try to engage it, but it's wiggling its arms a little bit in the way there. Manages to crash itself into the house, doing a little bit of damage to the structure. Oh, the Shrek missed. It flew wide, and the tank hunters unable to finish the engagement here. Tank hunters forced to retreat as the half-track does end up going down to the small arms fires of the partisans, and the partisans doing a superb job being the heroes of this battle. So everybody is forced to retreat. Luvnest loosen his half-track. Again, not sure if he actually wanted it with the flamethrowers, but I guess maybe he did. Still doesn't seem recent. I don't know. I don't know. It's just me. Anyways, so MG42 popping inside the house. Gonna be cutting off the exit. Conscripts forced to crawl away, getting themselves into some heavy cover as the Osttruppen are just sitting there taking the point. Down south, the fuel point is also going to be taken here by the Pios and flamethrowers. It's up in the north. We still have a conscript squad capturing territory, pretty much unopposed. More Osttruppen coming out on the field. Going to be helping out in that, and the Osttruppen inside. We now have a med bunker on the field for Luvnest. We'll be healing up his troops. Panzer Grenadiers, the actual fighting force here for Luvnest, catching a conscript squad out in the open, forcing it to retreat. Catches it on the retreat, gonna be killing 2 more probably. Oh, can actually pick up the kill on the last guy. Oh, no, still shot. No, there you go. Well, barely makes it out of there with a sliver of health left. Combat Engineer squad is sitting in the heavy cover. Could get bundle-nated here, but it looks like they're just going to sit there and take the damage. They do have a sweeper, so that means they don't really have that much damage output. So the Panzer Grenadiers are going to be quite fine. Center map, conscripts pushing forward. Partisans following up behind them. The MG42 has been killed off, it looks like, as we see a trench in the world burning to death. Probably a Molotov. Well, we do have Molotovs, so I can only assume it was a Molotov. And I guess the MG42 died in the world because we see Luvnest going for a second MG42. Conscript squad down to one man, forced to retreat as the Panzer Grenadiers pop inside that house.
Losing territory.
Getting some pot shots. And where did the MG die? Did it die in the trench or did it die inside the house? Let's take a trip to the house. Looks like it died in the house. We can see the men there, right there.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
So the conscripts taking up shots on top of the bodies of the fallen Germans. Panzer Grenadiers forced to retreat and get the hell out of that house. Osttruppen still hold up inside the church, trying to delay and hold the territory, while in the edges of the map, Pios capping, and up in the north, Osttruppen squad capping. So Job having a bit of a time here, bit of an issue controlling the capping potential of the Osttruppen. So Partisan squads taking some damage here to the Osttruppen. They're going to try and close the distance and get on top of them. They managed to capture the point, however, and we do see a...
To capture our territory.
Is that a moth? What the hell was that? Is that a Molotov from these guys? Oh, well, the conscripts decide to sit on top of the fire and get themselves killed. That's very nice. I think it was that Partisan squad. Threw a Molotov? Well, we can't see it anymore, but geez. Conscript squad over here almost got itself killed. Center map, we hear some shots flying in directions as the tank hunters inside this house pop out. Conscripts pop back in. Osttruppen across the field. Conscripts moving around the cap. And the Pios still capturing the edges of the map. And pretty much no vehicle text for either player. We see Luvnest finally going for tier 3. Back at base, we do have tier 2 down for Jove, but he hasn't actually gotten anything from tier 2. I can assume, though, that it is simply... wow, sorry. It's simply there to tech up later and have access to the AT guns when he needs it. Who knows? Pile squad retreating from the right-hand side. The conscripts unable to finish the job there as it runs straight through them. Osttruppen still distracting them and getting shots. Down to 4 men on that Osttruppen squad. Conscripts and partisans just capturing over on the right-hand side as more partisans flood the field. One of the partisan squads did die, so it looks like it died up in here in the north. Yeah, this squad died to the Panzer Grenadiers. Let me note it so we can at least see something die. Partisans. I guess I should have noted the MG in the center, but we already saw it die, so it doesn't matter. Partisans popping into the trench, getting some good shots there on the Osttruppen. Now the Pile squad with its sweeper getting shot at there by the partisans inside that trench. The house has caught fire and is currently in the process of burning down. It's unfortunate for these houses that they all tend to, you know, house barrels of TNT and, you know, explode every time they catch fire. And there goes the house. Down south, conscript squad retreating as strategic points have been capped. And it's a bit of a weird engagement as there's engagements all over the map. Almost feels like a team game here. Combat engineer squad retreating as the Panzer Grenadiers just wrecked them. Panzer Grenadiers sitting there in the heavy cover against the conscript. The conscripts will lose that engagement overall. And especially without the benefit of heavy cover. But the Panzer Grenadiers decide that they want to retreat as a partisan squad comes up behind them. Partisans now getting engaged by the Pios. Pios flamethrowers going off. Remember, the flamethrowers are better if you are in cover. You know, at least they're better in the sense that, you know, do that. And we saw that Luvnest was going for a Ostwind, Flak Panzer, but decided to cancel that before it got finished, and instead is going to go for a Panzer IV as we do see that Jove has decided to get himself a T-70 onto the field. Osttruppen squad moving around, taking some shots to the T-70. The T-70 now going to be bombarding it inside. Oh, nasty shot down to 2 men on that Osttruppen squad. Can he finish it off? He could potentially go for the chase here, but it doesn't look like Jove is going to be very inclined to chase it down. Missing a bit of an opportunity, but of course he would have recklessly run that T-70 in there and could potentially get it killed. But of course we can see from our point of view that that is not actually the case. He would have been fine and could have easily snagged the kill on an Osttruppen squad. Especially a veteran C2, you know, that helps out. So MG in the center, just sitting around covering the center. T-70 going to be moving over to the right-hand side as Osttruppen and conscripts engage at maximum range. Conscripts jumping for joy as they die. The T-70 now being brought into the engagement, forcing the retreat of the Osttruppen squad. The Osttruppen squad now going away. T-70 going to chase him down a little bit, could potentially pick him off, but it looks like he's going to leave them be. Down to 3 men and makes it out of there. It's not a Lux, so I get why he doesn't chase, and of course we now see that the Panzer IV is on the field, so, you know, would have been a very deadly scenario if he had done that. But we do have tank hunters on the field for Jove, double tank hunters. He could actually do with getting himself an AT gun, just in case. Panzer IV is pretty strong and difficult to take down with just Shreks, especially with only 2 Shreks. But we do have the T-70 in the center. Panzer Grenadiers taking quite a beating and forced to retreat. Panzer IV is moving around down south. Shreks flying at it, getting some shots into the rear. We do have another Shrek squad somewhere around here. Oh, back there. Trench being focused here by the Panzer IV. The tank hunters unable to push forward as the trench was kind of blocking the path. And the Panzer IV getting some shots in there on the conscripts. The tank hunters could actually move up now and potentially get a shot in there. The Panzer IV moves down south to engage the conscripts. Conscripts hold up inside this house. House should actually, wow, it's actually taking quite a bit of damage. I was going to say it should actually hold out quite a bit, but got brought down to less than half health very, very quickly. Up in the north, the T-70 still being utilized at the edges, trying to be harassive. Osttruppen squad manages to get itself in range for a Faust. Faust goes off, gets the crit on the engine, of course, because it is a T-70, and it will always drop below 75% strength when that hits. And center map, we see the tank hunters moving around. They manage to cloak themselves as they pass, and the Panzer IV is at about 75% strength. It hasn't actually been repaired. Down south, we still hear the engagement as the Partisans are trying to engage the Osttruppen inside the house. The Panzer IV is being brought up over here to engage it. And it could potentially one-shot it. Well, takes a shot and kills one of the members. Gonna chase it down. Veteran Z3 down to 1 man. Can he pick up the kill? Shot flies. Oh, misses the Partisan. And the Partisan runs for freedom. Oh, Panzer Grenadiers are in the way. They're gonna pick up the kill. We have a conscript squad and a lot of conscripts in the way. They're focusing fire on that Partisan. Oof, they all make it out of there. Tank Hunter's going to be pushing forward on top of... Oh, was that a bundle grenade? Yes, it was. Managing to do a decent amount of damage. Shreks fly. Panzer IV taking a lot of damage, down to about 30% strength. The Tank Hunters continue to push forward. They're going to get massacred here by the main gun and the MG, the coaxial gun. So they all retreat as they do not want to die. T-70 over on the left-hand side, going to get Fausted again by those Partisans. Not Partisans, Osttruppen. There goes the Faust, there goes the crit on the engine, and the Panzer IV is down south, going to be moving up to the north to engage. We do have the S minefield lay down here for Mr. Luvnest. As he pushes up with the Panzer IV. Nice. The T-70 has repaired its own engine, as it uses the crew repair instead. And the Panzer IV is moving over to the left-hand side to try to engage it. We do have conscripts in the way, could potentially throw an anti-tank grenade to snare it. Shots flying from the T-70 as it feels emboldened there by the fact that there is a very low amount of health left on that Panzer IV. And we do see a pack gun getting produced for Luvnest, as he does want to have a little bit more anti-tank than that. We do also have an AT gun on the field for Jove. That is currently sitting there out in the open in the lake. And we also have a mortar on the field for Luvnest as he decides to bolster his troops in that sense. More sandbags going down as the troops capture the strategic point outside the base. Victory points are 155 for Jove. 500 points still left for Luvnest, so Luvnest feeling very, very good in that sense. He doesn't really have much to worry about because, well, he hasn't lost control of the map at all and is currently in the winning side of a triple cap, so Jove is potentially running out of time here. The thing is that even if he wins majorly here in the engagement in the center, he puts himself, or he is in a very delicate situation where he can easily lose the game while not actually losing the battle. So we'll see. Center map, tank hunters, combat engineers, conscripts, everybody moving around. Panzer Grenadiers outside of the house, taking some shots inside. Osttruppen sitting there in front of the wall, forcing to retreat. T-70 getting some shots at it as the combat engineers repair. We do have the mortar. The mortar is refocusing sights on the T-70, it looks like. AT gun sitting right at the edge of the water. Could potentially get sunk here. Shots flying at it. And on the far left-hand side, we see conscripts finally going for those victory points. And finally, we see Luvnest not having his perfect 500-point score. Is now down to 495. Oh my god, he has lost. No. Anyways, AT gun repositioning itself to cover the center, which is where the Panzer IV will probably want to go for. And there it goes into the center straight. T-70 over on the right-hand side, engaging the Osttruppen inside that house. AT gun not managing to get a good shot off there on the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV now going to be able to deal with the T-70. The T-70 moving out of the way, gets shot at in the front. Tank hunter's going to be sitting in front of it. The T-70 could potentially make it out of there as it hides on the other side of that shack. Panzer IV trying to play a ring around the shacky. And the tank hunters are, well, on the hunt. And they're going to go chase it down a little bit. We do have Partisans nearby, but the Partisans don't have access to anti-tank grenades. And the tank hunters are getting rather close there to the Panzer IV. Oh, Shrek flies, and there goes a hit. Down goes the Panzer IV for Luvnest. But he instantly starts building another one since he already had the available or required resources. So Job managing to make a decent set of a comeback here. Still, there's a lot of things on the field for Luvnest, and the fact that Osttruppen are so cheap, he can essentially field them endlessly. But he does have veterancy 3 on all 3 of them, so, you know, that makes them tougher. Does it give him survivability bonuses? Weapon accuracy, yeah, survivability and weapon accuracy. So yeah, they get a little bit tougher at veterancy 3. As Minefield claiming the lives of some of the partisans here, forces the retreat of that squad. We got conscripts, not conscripts, tank hunters, getting suppressed there by the MG42, managing to crawl their way out of there. T-70 moving out of the way as the pack gun is still on the field. Pack gun still very capable of destroying him. Shot flies, but it actually impacts on the surface. Manages to skid its way into the ground, and the new Panzer IV is now on the field, getting upgraded with the MG ASAP. Osttruppen squad moving over to the right-hand side. We do have a S minefield getting cleaned up here by the combat engineers. The combat engineers can potentially clear it off completely as we have Osttruppen shooting at them, but it's Osttruppen shooting at them, so they're actually fine, relatively. Center map, we still see the tank hunters moving around. Osttruppen pushing forward. The T-70 has made it out of there, and it's all the way back at base, and the Panzer IV is unable to hunt it down. And we got more Panzer Grenadiers coming onto the field for Luvnest as he still wants to bolster that anti-infantry. So the S minefield did not get cleared out as the combat engineers did take damage there to the Osttruppen. T-70 getting brought up, going to be taking some shots there at the Osttruppen squad. Faust goes off, gets a damage on the engine, but wow, massive hit there on the Osttruppen squad, killing 4 of its members in one blow. But the squad itself manages to make it out of there. We do have the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is not going for the bait. It's not going to go over to the right-hand side. AT gun is sitting there, waiting for it to approach. Conscripts getting on top of those Osttruppen, forcing them to retreat, and the Partisans closing the distance, getting those SMG damage in there. Tank hunter sitting inside this house. Gonna get mortared. Well, we do have the conscripts pushing forward. Panzer IV trying to hold the line. Tank Hunter's gonna move up. Shot flies. There goes the hit on the Panzer IV, and the Tank Hunters are gonna get riddled there. Forced to retreat, but they managed to get a hit in there. T-70 back over here, needs some repairs. We do have 2 combat engineers on the field, so should be okay to do that. Or should be easy to get it repaired, but we'll see. Tank Hunters over on the left-hand side, just sitting and waiting there for an opportunity to shoot at the Panzer IV. But the Panzer IV is sitting in the center of the map, covered by MGs and Osttruppen and all sorts of baddies. Even the Panzer Grenadiers getting in the way, so it's difficult to get in there to get a shot. AT gun down to 5 men, but less than half health, so the men themselves are actually pretty battered. They're going to lose a lot very quickly. Conscripts and Partisans all sitting together there by the heavy cover. A very dangerous place to be with a mortar on the field, so they decide to move out of the way, as they would probably be targeted now. And the Partisans retreat as well. So Luvnest, managing to recover the victory point over on the left-hand side, is now going to put the bleed back in the other way. 131 points are left for Jove, so he is once again running out of time, but we'll see how that pans out. Oof, combat engineer squad getting annihilated there by the Panzer IV and its coaxial gun. Gets taken out. It was the one with the sweeper, so the S-minefields are going to be all that more deadly. Combat engineers with the flamethrowers do actually survive, and the conscripts back off as well into the center of the lake. Tank Hunters are still there, potentially being able to get a shot off on the Panzer IV from behind, but the MG42 is setting up to shoot at them. They'll be able to get one shot off there. No, the Panzer IV is going for the crush. Nope, manages to get a shot off, but now they need to retreat. There goes the damage on the engine, gets the crit. And the Tank Hunters are forced to run out of there. They do have access to anti-tank grenades, which is probably what they shot. And the Panzer IV is crippled. Center map, we see a push here as the conscripts and even the AT gun pushes forward. Osttruppen and conscripts engaging at very close range. Molotov flies and puts an end to that engagement as the Pios with their flamethrowers are going to turn it around once again. Tree catching ablaze there, and the sandbag getting destroyed by the mortar. And on the far right-hand side, we see the Osttruppen once again going for another cap as a triple cap gets affected against Job. And once again, he's going to be bleeding a lot and very quickly. T-70 putting itself behind this house, going to be getting a good clear there on that MG42. The MG42 is down to 2 men. Panzer IV could potentially shoot across the terrain, but it manages to actually spot it there, and the T-70 will probably be going down this time around. It is caught between the Panzer IV and the pack gun. The pack gun currently aiming at it, but we do have a T-34 on the field for Job, which gets itself right on top of that pack gun. The pack gun forced to move away. Going to be trying to position itself in a better angle, but the Panzer Grenadiers don't have Shreks. One of them is getting upgraded with Shreks. The other one is not. It is the Veteran C3 one that is not. And the Panzer IV is still there. Oh, mine gets hit there by the T-34. Nasty, nasty bait there by Mr. Luvnest as he set up a mine and moves a pack gun behind it to make sure that the T-34 gets there. And with the second Panzer IV on the field, that T-34 goes down. And I think with that, the hopes of Jove may actually be going down the drain. Engagement still goes on in the center. The Panzer Grenadiers taking quite a beating. Down to 1 man on this squad in the front with the Veteran C3. Manages to make it out of there alive. The AT gun goes down, and the T-70 goes down for Job. So yeah, I think he's just crumbling. We do, of course, have Tier 4 because we saw that T-34 on the field. Remember, that is no longer Tier 3. But, I mean, I guess an Su-85 would kind of be okay against those Panzer IVs, but it's 1 on 2. It's difficult, and at this stage, with the amount of victory points he has, in the sense of 59, doesn't seem like that's going to work. Victory points on the edge are capped, though. We want, well, 1 cap, the other one decapped and getting capped by the Tank Hunters. So at least he stopped the bleed and is going to put the bleed in the other direction, but even then, I don't think that Joe has much else that he can do. He's going to get himself another T-34 to try to fight that away. AT gun is still there, so he can recover that AT gun at the very least, which is good. And we'll see what he does. He actually doesn't notice it or doesn't care about it, though. And Jove is just simply going to push straight into the center. Combat engineers with the flamethrowers and conscripts. MG42 is barely being moved up over here. wall, getting completely destroyed there in one shot by the Panzer IV, and the mortar doing an incredible hit on that conscript squad, bringing it down to 1 health, or 1 man. Pretty much with 1 health. I can almost guarantee that guy only has 1 health because he's about to fucking die. Conscripts moving around to the right, the T-34 being brought up to try to help, but yeah, I mean, there's not much else. The Osttruppen, in fact, are even going to go for the steal of the AT guns, and Jove decided not to go recover it. So that's another anti-tank measure on the field for Mr. Luvnest. So yeah, I think Luvnest got this one in the bag. Panzer IV in the center has taken quite a bit of damage. Is down to half health, but you know, Panzer Grenadiers with Trek over on the right-hand side. Standard Panzer Grenadier squad getting bombed there by the. I mean, the T-34 getting bombed by the Panzer Grenadiers as they throw a boulder grenade. I don't know what the hell that was. It's kind of weird, but doesn't end up doing too much. And the T-34 is now damaged and needs repairs. Panzer IV is moving in that direction, trying to go for the hunt. The T-34 needs to get out, and it does. Needs to go all the way out, though. And we see up in the far north a lone member of a squad retreating. What died? I mean, that usually happens when you lose a weapon team, but I see the MG, I see the mortar, I see the AT guns, the pack gun. Huh. It's kind of weird. Well, whatever it was, it ended up running all the way up north. So the Panzer IV are going to be covering on the right-hand side. It's covering the uncaptured point, which is kind of weird for it, but I guess that works. And we see Luvnest just piling it on, adding a 3rd Panzer IV to his composition, which is going to be unbreakable there by Jove. So yeah, I mean, pretty sure the game is over at this stage. We'll just see how it concludes. There's not much. We can accelerate it a little bit. Here we go. ×2. Oops, sorry. They're going to run themselves into the S minefield, which is not going to be good for them. It's still a point over here. Conscripts engaging the Osttruppen at pretty close range. It looks like they're going to move over to the right-hand side and see if they can bait them. Well, mortar squad does get Molotov there, and the conscripts are now down to 1 man. They hit retreat. Maybe a little bit too late. Nope, yeah, a little bit too late, and down it goes. Conscripts and tank hunters moving up. The Panzer IV is there, so the tank hunters have a target. There goes a hit. But by themselves, they're not going to be able to do too much. Conscript still moving forward. AT gun being turned against its former masters. T-34 taking some shots there at the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is down to a very small amount of health. The T-34 could actually finish it off here. Shot flies. Shot flies. Oh, it missed the shot. The T-34 whiffs it completely, and it does not execute it. AT gun does get cleared out here by the conscripts with the Molotov, but the Panzer IV, or 2nd Panzer IV, is now shooting at the T-34. The T-34 has been snared. It's not in the best of shape. Conscripts are nearby. They can throw an AT grenade at it to try to snare it, and they will. And they'll get the snare, but the T-34 is now cut off, essentially. Tank hunters getting popped inside the house could potentially kill off this Panzer IV, but the T-34 does end up going down as we have a 3rd Panzer IV. Tank hunters pop out. There goes a Shrek, and down goes a Panzer IV. So at the very least, Jove manages to pick up another kill. Panzer IV moving forward and crushing some of the tank hunters. Tank hunters now moving back out of the base. Everybody retreating, and the tank hunters are left alone there to try to continue the fight. Tank hunter needs to stop. Yes, there you go. An 18-8 could go off by them. No, they do not have enough. How much does this one cost? They do, 25. Oh, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong guy. Yeah, he doesn't have enough for one. And the Panzer IV actually whiffing most of its shots there. The other Panzer IV did make it all the way back to base. It's still damaged, but it's there. Osttruppen squad is going to be recapturing some territory as all the infantry is trying to move back out for Jove. He does have a lot of troops on the field, but still not enough potential to capture the rest of the map. We see a bunker going down on the left-hand side for Luvnest as he's going to set it up with an MG bunker and make sure that the point does not drop. Right-hand side point is going to get capped. That's going to be a triple capped against Jove, and with that, I think the game is going to come to a close by victory points. We'll see the engagements continue to go on here in the center as the Panzer IV still tries to fight against the conscript. The conscripts pop out. They URA forward. They're going to get an AT grenade off on it. They manage to throw a Molotov at the MG42, forcing it to retreat. Shrek's flying. Panzer IV taking some damage. tank hunters from behind. They could potentially pop into the church and get another shot, or move themselves on the other side. They're going to pop in the church. There goes the shot, and down goes the Panzer IV. Brilliant maneuvers there by Luvnest, doing a lot of damage very quickly to a Luvnest. But again, it's too little too late, essentially, like I said. Like, he's winning those engagements, getting those crit wins or kills, but the victory points are still, you know, they're still the key here. The bunker has been going down over here on the left-hand side, but it's not even going to matter with 5 points. A couple more ticks. Last engagement of the game on the right-hand side. As the Osttruppen retreat, they retreat towards victory as they end up winning the game. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the game. If you have any positive or negative remarks, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you have any replays you want to send me, go ahead and send them to the email that I will put in the description. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.